Welcome everybody. 人体だと申します。スペインから。This is our new joint studio titled ISLAB, Islands as Anthropocene Laboratories. This year, instead of Tokyo, we are in Las Palmas de Gran Canaria in Spain. This is a joint studio between the University of Tokyo and the University of Las Palmas de Gran Canaria. Joined two institutions within these universities, that is the Instituto of Industrial Science and the Instituto Universitario de Turismo y Desarrollo Económico Sostenible, trying to connect students from Kotaro in my studio and my undergrad students from Las Palmas and the School of Architecture. Well, as you know, we are living in a very problematic circumstances, not only the coronavirus, but these are the Sustainable Development Goals that the United Nations are trying to push forward, especially because we are living in a very difficult circumstances, especially after the Industrial Revolution that led us to a new era called Anthropocene. Anthropocene that basically is pushing us to a very limited situation in terms of socio-economical and earth systems that is under danger from 1950 after the Second World War, what is called the Great Acceleration. Well, trying to understand these issues, we thought that islands are a big opportunity to become laboratories to test different climate change and Anthropocene problems nowadays. And this is a new research line that we are developing in Spain in our university. And we made this international seminar in 2018 when we began this research, and at the same time we joined with in my studio in what is called this ISLAB Tokyo, that was actually a 150 years diplomatic relations event between Spain and Japan. And well, there were these projects developed by the IAS and the University of Las Palmas, but interested in research in Tokyo area, still several students from the University of Las Palmas are developing more projects in different locations. And talking about Cibaura and Hinode, we made this joint studio with my son. We have some interview with Kengo Kuma, that was a former student from the IAS. We went to the Tokyo Metropolitan Government, and we have a video conference critics with the IAS. And at the end, there was an opening presentation in Spain Embassy, actually last year in January. Okay. This year we are all together working, 30 students from Spain and 20 students from Japan. And let's try to find solutions from some spot, very interesting spot in Las Palmas de Gran Canaria. Okay. This is Spain. And this is Portugal, and this is France around here, and this is Africa, and this is Morocco, and Canary Islands are around here. As you can see, there is a distance of 1,000 kilometers from Canary Islands to Spain, and only 100 kilometers to Africa, in the area of Morocco. Okay? And well, this is the Canary Islands. As you can see, there are 450 meters width. And this is our place where we are going to work, this round circle place. Okay, we have to say first that these are a view from the north of the Canary Islands, that there are 7 islands plus one, a small one that is here. And Well, all of them are volcanic islands. They are not a piece of land that come out from Morocco. Are actually volcanic island. The first ones were Fuerteventura and Lanzarote, and the third one was this one, Gran Canaria. And then the youngest island is this one in El Hierro. Well, we are working here in Gran Canaria. As you can see here, there are some issues about political division. I mean, you can see here 7 islands, and this is the small one, the 8th one, is called La Graciosa. Okay. This is Lanzarote, this is Fuerteventura, this is Gran Canaria where we are, and this is Santa Cruz de Tenerife, La Gomera, La Palma, and El Hierro. There are 2 divisions in this region. This is Las Palmas province and Santa Cruz province. And the main island of this part is actually Gran Canaria, where we are working. On the other hand, I want to talk about the weather and the wind. This is very important because 90% of the days during the year, we have a wind that is called alisios wind that comes from the northeast and is producing this effect. I mean, pushing some clouds to this area, and basically we have very mild weather that is basically a subtropical. Probably one of the best weathers in the world. But sometimes the wind is not coming from north to south, but on the opposite direction, comes from the south direction and bringing some sand that comes from Morocco, creating what is called sandstorms, or in Spanish, Calima effect. That is not very desirable. According to the climate change issues, they are saying that we are having more frequent sandstorms than before. And this is something that you have to think about. Okay, this is the wind direction, basically. Okay, this is the form of Gran Canaria. Gran Canaria basically is an island that has 50 kilometers diameter. Okay, and well, the top point is around 2,000 kilometers height. That means that if we made a line here, we have a different climate in the northeast area of the island and the southwest. The southwest, we can say that it's more dry, it's more shiny, and the north is, you can see, is more green, receive the clouds basically. And a more rainy area is around north. No rain in the south almost. And you can see also that these points also is an axis, because this area also is very windy in this axis. And this is good to put wind turbines, for example. Okay. On the other side, if we talk about the structure, we have to say that this is Las Palmas, where you're going to work. And there are also some cities in the north that is called Teror, Galdar, and Agaete. And here is the Agaete port. Also, you know that Las Palmas has the Las Palmas port. That is one of the most important ports in the mid-Atlantic Ocean. On the other hand, we have these areas that is called Telde, and this is the airport, the industrial area in Arinaga and Pozo Izquierdo, where there are some research centers and even the jail. And in the south, we have Maspalomas, or Playa del Inglés, and Mogán. That means that we have an administration city, what we can call here. We have a service city that are in the north and in the west, and in the east, sorry. And finally, we have the tourist city. That means that we have actually what is called a 24-hour city in like a linear system, that is a pendular system coming and active area like a linear city 24 hours. Still, we have not a final, we have a way to connect here, but not with highway. We have a highway connecting Agaete port to Mogán and tourist centers. Okay. And now we go to the municipality of Las Palmas de Gran Canaria that is concentrated basically in this area. All the municipalities are cut by ravines or gorge. or you want to say. Okay, this is city geology. Basically, Las Palmas has 10 kilometers long coast and 4 kilometers maximum width. What is very important is these water lines that comes from the top area of the island and connects to the coast. Here we have a coast of 10 kilometers and we have a coast of 4 kilometers. But all the water rain comes through these dry ravines or gorges that enter the city. Especially look at this one that is called the Whale Ravine. That is very important because we'll connect with some area that belongs to our site. Okay, about the city, we have to tell you that there is a low city and a high city. The low city, imagine that is around 10 meters, and suddenly the high city, that is this line separation, becomes more than 100 meters or 150 meters. And we have here, in all times, a natural port space and a sand beach. Actually, all these areas were not built until 19th century. This is our site, and this is our university, Las Palmas de Gran Canaria. And this is almost 10 kilometers distance. Okay, talking about mobility, I want to tell you that this line is the main line that connects the port to the airport through the coast. There is a second line that is very important that goes to the other port, Agaete port, that is this one, and there is a tunnel connecting the both in this spot. At the same time, there is a Beltway, that is this one, that connects the both main roads that enters the red ones, and they are connected by this connector to our side actually. This line, therefore, that is at the same line than the ravine or the waterway that I mentioned before, is very important line. This one, that finishes in this spot and also with this. Okay, in terms of structure, historical structure, this is the origin of the city called Vegeta, and this area was created from 15th century. The second spot on the other side of this ravine that is called Guiniguada is called Triana. And for so many years there was a port here, natural port, but mainly the city was old core Vegeta and Triana that you can see here. This is Vegeta, where there is a cathedral, and this is Triana. And this is the gorge or ravine called Guiniguada. Okay. And you can see here another picture with Vegeta, he is here, Triana, and the Guiniguada ravine. It's in the middle. It's a dry water way. When it rains, it's very heavy rain, but when it doesn't rain, it's dry. Well, you can see here the city in a higher scale, and this is the area. There were nothing built in this area. This is called La Isleta, and it was connected to the mainland through a corridor of sand, okay? And you can see here there are some castles called Castle of Santa Catarina, that actually this is our site. There was a small fort, not a big castle, very small castle. And also the Castle of La Luz, that means the light. There were these two castles, and well, this was the city, basically. And then it was built gradually. There was a new growth in Arenales area. We are going to see. This is Vegeta, Triana, and Arenales was a natural growth of the city to the north. When they create also a small port, as you can see here, in this small area. Okay, and we can follow a new area when in the 19th century, in the beginning of the 19th century, they decided to create a real port. And along this port, a new fisherman neighborhood was created. It was called La Isleta. And between these two poles, there was created a corridor, very, very busy, that at the end produced the the growth of the rest. Okay, well, let's go and see how it was the original port of in La Isleta area. You can see here is the old part, and there was only a small port, and this is the images of some zoom in of this area. Well, there was almost nothing, just a few infrastructures, but when the port was created, it began to be more busy. Here you can see here the castle of La Luz, or the Light Castle, and this was the image of the port at that time. Well, when following the structure, it was created the Garden City here, like under Howard's model. It was a English people that make some investment to produce this Ciudad Jardín or Garden City. As you can see here, some plants in a low, what we can say, a low density area with detached houses. This is the image of Garden City in this area. And the last part was created after Ciudad Jardín was Alcalabaneras area, that is more grid type, more related to Barcelona type of grid, and Santa Catalina areas. And at the end was created Guanarteme. This tree is actually connected to our spot. You can see here some plans of the period. It's almost a grid, and in the small connection to La Isleta, there's only a space for one row or two rows of buildings, but the rest is an open grid, as you can see here. Well, this is the image when the grid of Santa Catalina, that is this area, and Guanarteme in this area, and La Isleta was already fixed. And this is an image of one of the great artists of Gran Canaria, that is Nestor. Well, after that, there were some architects that they tried to make some plans to grow in the first line in this area and this area. Some part of this was done, like this one, or this front line also was a little bit done, but not the rest. And this is our site, basically. This is a plan by Madrid architect Secundino Zuazo in 1944. And well, if we go to the site, we had before 20th century, we have this castle, old castle of Santa Catalina. It was kind of very nice, but it was demolished to produce this big new port area in 1941. And this is the image of our arsenal. That is today a military area. It's an image of 1951, and you can see, it was during Franco time, and Las Palmas, 1966, it was forbidden to show this area, and this is today. You can see here the port. This is a military port, this is a cruise port, this is an industrial port, this is a sports port, this is a small beach, this is another beach, and this at the end became a second important core of the city. There was the old core, that is Vegeta and Triana, and this is the new core, commercial area and very active space. Actually, is where I live. I live around here, okay? Well, this is the image of Las Palmas port. As you can see, this is some containers. And there are a lot of activities, economical activities in the city. Sorry, there's some problem here with some police passing through. Okay, and this is our site that I hope that you already saw pictures like this. There is a zoom in. And this is a beautiful image taken from the same spot of Nestor, artist, and you can see that there is also a high area of the city. This is around 100 meters above the low city that is under. Well, this is the image of the port, and where our site is here. Well, you can see here another images. This is from the north. You can see the Las Canteras beach, and this is our site, old area where you can see some transatlantic here. And this is an image, again, how it has evolution, this area. Okay, this port area has become little by little obsolete. What means that? I mean, it means that all this area, little by little, is not efficient as a port area. And the port has been growing to the east side of the port. Therefore, the city and the port authority, that is the owner, the port authority is the owner of this area. Okay, this is port authority work with industrial area of the port, and Ministry of Defense work in this area. But when these areas become obsolete, mean they don't need them anymore, you can at the end try to make these new activities incorporate to the city, what is called city port activities. And this is the first plan in island scale made in 1992, by which there was some plans in order to produce here in our place some leisure port here, and the intention to create some economical activities, including some residential and hotels around this Mesa and Lopez Avenue prolonged axis. On the other side, in the other areas, they decided to create some green open spaces. This already exists, this Santa Catarina, but this is the castle of La Luz, but this were going to be a new green space, and this is a new green space. The other were some recreative spaces and for commercial spaces, these two. And in this area also were thought new spaces for economical and hotels, for example here, and some commercial and hotel areas around here, and a commercial center in here, and also a terminal for cruise in this area. Well, more or less, most of these things are not in here because this is defense area, has been a little bit done, at least in this area, in this axis. Okay, this was a plan done in 1992. And some few years later, there was a new plan here for the whole island, trying to think what should be done here. And you can see here there is a gray area that is thought that it was a strategical interest spot to create some new, at least some facilities in this spot. But all of this should be developed by a new detailed plan that still has not been definite. Approved. On the other side, the Port Authority, they have new strategies created in 2001. And this is very interesting because they decided that they want to create a passengers terminal here to make some increased space here, improve the beach of Alcarabaneras, and produce some other activities very interesting like this one, like for passengers in this spot, and to introduce new additional spaces for the industrial development of the port. Still, this is not done, but imagine the new port connecting in this spot. This is a very interesting image. Well, in 2001 also was this plan created in order to develop the previous plan that we saw. And at least in this area, as you can see, there was an idea to create some commercial areas in 2001 plan, and to use some commercial areas in this one, and commercial for passengers in this area, and some logistics in the other space like this and this. Okay. Well, the town hall of Las Palmas, they tried to develop some plans, and in 2002, the town hall of Las Palmas, they created this plan in 2002, that you can see some sports center, some hotel, some cultural element, and some commercial, and some leisure, and some station and transport, and they created this new kind of environment in creating some water spaces like this one, and producing some potential offices here and some other cultural spaces. Through this plan, some architects developed this plan for the Port Authority based on that include in this arsenal area the terminal and convention center and commercial and some cultural spot. At the same time, creating some leisure space here and leisure space here. This was an existing already commercial center, and they created some hotels in this area. Actually, we designed this hotel in this spot. One day I can show you. Well, the thing is that all this plan was abandoned in order to produce a new competition international. For example, SANA in 2004 prepared in the competition, international competition called Gran Marina, they developed this big plan, like an artificial island. They didn't won. They won Cesar Pelli with these towers of offices and office for the town hall and with this green space. But Carlos Ferrater was the co-winner, creating this beautiful landscape with a lot of palm trees. No proposal for the arsenal, but proposal for this area. And the co-winner was Ferrater, this project, and Cesar Pelli. And they made all together this plan. Unfortunately, this has not been done, and well, we're looking forward what is going to be done at the end. But this was also abandoned. Well, anyway, there was this plan in 2006 trying to develop what I mentioned before from the big scale of the island, and was this plan by which in this area, number 9, the idea is to create some kind of facility area, but in a very open, wide sense, and to produce these green spaces with some connecting green space plus some infrastructures. And the 4 is just green space, okay, green space, and well, creating this 3 is also some parks, this park and this park, and some other facilities in this orange space. Well, look at this. This should be infrastructure located and connected to open spaces in this area, and at the end of this axis. But well, when it's going to be done, we don't know, because this is now is military. But there are new plans that maybe the military is going to go away to a different location, and eventually this is going to be public in the near future. Okay. Well, there is this for the municipality. There is this plan in 2005, trying to say that in the arsenal is going to be a sea terminal. It was going to be a tertiary program. That means related to commercial, and what is very important is to connect this axis into the arsenal space from the avenue extension of Mesa y López. But this plan also was abandoned, sorry again, and this is the plan of 2010 of the municipality, trying to make is a definition that this area should be thought completely all together, basically. But they didn't define exactly what they want to do in the arsenal, because they have a lot of problems to define this space. Okay, the same goes to the upper side. It's a special space that should be developed for industrial purposes. But this is just only ideas, just to make you think what is going on in Las Palmas. Okay. Well, eventually, some part of this plan has been done. For example, this area, as you can see, this is the arsenal in this area, but this area has been changed a little bit in order to produce new developments, especially this blue one that is decided to be an aquarium. And they developed this plan to be able to produce the aquarium here. Some other space for that is open storage, or some area for logistics. Well, today we have a logistics here, we have a commercial area and the aquarium built already here, and the terminal of passengers for cruise. Okay, and this is some images of future construction projects that are going to be probably done. This is made in dot lines in this and in this area. That because the port needs all the time to be implemented and well, to enter and to be wider and wider because there is a big demand. Okay, new plans or other plans that you can check in climatecentral.org. You can check what are the problems of potential sea level rise if we don't take several key measures in climate change. Or these are new projects of new investments for 2011 and 2020 that they are taking place in the port, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, etc. And what is important in terms of the arsenal is the relation between this spot and the terminal, because people coming from the transatlantic or cruise, passengers, the first thing that they see when they enter is this skyline, especially the arsenal that is in front of them. And we should think that all the people that comes into this terminal are going to see our project, and you have to think about that. Okay, you see this cruise coming into the port, and the first thing that they see is this commercial center and this arsenal. Okay, this is very important to think about it. And the other thing that you have to take account is that this is probably one of the most and best urban beaches in the world, because there is this natural reef that creates almost a very nice, calm, open sea spot that is called Las Canteras Beach. There is another beach here that is more Minatos oriented, okay? It's port oriented. It's called Alcarabaneras. And there is a club here, a nautic club. It's a private club. And this is our space. And here now is built. This is the old picture. This is now the built here, the aquarium. As you can see, it's quite close. The both spaces, port to the beach, are quite close together, but are separated by this area that is called Istmo. Okay, this is our site. This is the structure. This is what is important, that this is a connection to the airport. This is a big avenue, and the problem is that every day there are traffic jams. If this port have traffic jams in this line, there is a big problem, because this is the most important port in a mid-Atlantic. With traffic jams is a big problem, economical problem, that you have to think about it. Second problem is, or second issue, is that this is the city Beltway entrance, the second entrance, and enters in this spot. This is very important. And in this area is a ravine. That means a green corridor in this spot that is almost like a linear park, that at the end finish in our arsenal. Maybe this can become also a ecological corridor. And you have to think about this. This is a problem of traffic jam, and this is maybe a second entrance to the city, and at the same time it's a green corridor connected to the arsenal. You have to think of the problems of this coast sea level risk and the potential risk of the other side in terms of Anthropocene problems. In terms of the district structure, this is the arsenal, this is a military space, this is a leisure port, and this industrial port. A military port is the arsenal. Okay, this is the beach, Alcarabaneras Beach and Las Canteras Beach. In terms of the cruise dock, there is a commercial center and there is a bus station that allow you to come and go very fast, for example, to the south area of the touristic part of the city, or the touristic part of the island connected to the bus station. The other thing that is very important is this corridor, is the avenue that connects to the entrance of the city, that is in this spot, and is a green corridor that ends here and connects to what is called Avenue, Mesa y López. That is a commercial street. And what is the most important spots are these two department stores, that is Corte Inglés department stores. It's like Mitsubishi department stores in Spain. And it is very important core, creating this commercial core that probably should be connected to this arsenal. Other thing is the Nautic Club. How we are going to deal with the Nautic Club here in relation with the arsenal. This is private at the moment. You have to think about that. Also, you have to think that a lot of people go running, do some running along this spot, but it stops almost here because, well, you can continue a little bit, but all this area becomes industrial. Another thing is other buildings like the museum or the multipurpose elder building and the aquarium. That is a new spot. And very important also, there is a tunnel connecting this entrance to this entrance of the city. This is a tunnel that you cannot see in the normal plans. This tunnel. But still we have problems with traffic jams. Okay, this is the arsenal. Let's think what we can do in this spot. You have to think about that. Okay, what are the aims of the project? The aims is that you have to try to balance between the territory and the urban space. You have to improve the integration between city and the port. You have to improve the integration with the landscape, the city, the island, la isleta, and the ocean and the port. Promote economic and business renewal. Promote compact architecture and multi-purpose urban structure. Create a super great, high-quality public space and establish the relation and balance between the residential existing, the tourist that comes, and new potential culture and business programs, developing sustainable strategies, circular economy, and resilient strategies against climate change. That are the aims. And what are the contents? The contents, we expect that you are going to create a space of 24 hours urban city-port relationship, with a very interesting urban section in the landscape. You have to reorganize the urban front, and you have to make a project of business, research, or financial. You have to create a tourist space, culture space, and new mixed typologies. You have to introduce tertiary, that means commercial, and local business to promote economical activities. We have to propose some multi-purpose buildings for academic and innovation centers or innovation district in this area in order to make a complementary offer. Please create a great urban park and improve the connection with soft mobility and smart mobility or sustainable mobility, and introduce urban strategies as advanced urban infrastructures. Okay. Parameters. You have 11 hectares, and we think that you can build at least an occupation between 30% or 50% of the area. The floor area ratio is free, but we do not encourage high or towers in the area. The number of floors, floors are free, and the building typology, we want to do an innovation district, commercial, culture, sport. Housing typology, if you're going to do it, is not recommended, but minimum space and hybrid. In relation between buildings, equal or greater than the maximum height that they have. I mean, this is very important. Think about also sunlight limitation in order to allow a very sun protection. You have to think, but also insulation of the area. Okay. What I asked to the students was to produce an analysis based in physical structure of the territory, environmental and climate study also the landscape characteristics, study the mobility and accessibility, new strategies in the area, what are the problems of the population, study the urban structure, the morphology, the heritage, the open spaces existing, etc. And we study urban facilities, where are them, and all the data like urban conditions. At the end, I asked the students to make a synthesis of mobility plan, a new structure, create open spaces, produce some basic architecture and sustainability in a basic analysis. And I'm going to show you some presentation of one of my students, from Andrea, Berta, and Raul. First, they study, as you can see, where is the location and some population numbers. You have to think that Las Palmas, there are around 2 million people in Canary Islands, 2 million people living here when Spain has 40 million. 40 million almost is the population of Tokyo metropolitan area, megapolis. And this is almost the population of whole Spain, but Las Palmas have almost 400,000 people. But, well, this is one of the most populated cities. I think it's number 7 or number 8 in Spain. And you have to think also that Las Canary Islands is one of the most important spots in relation with population of tourists. It receives 50 million tourists per year, and we have a problem now with the coronavirus. Okay, this is the arsenal. I asked the students to make some studies on topography, to make some sections and some studies, and to study also the problems with the climate, with the temperatures that come a little bit high, but generally it's very stable. We have almost 24 degrees a year, and depending on the direction of the winds, we have the sun problem is explained here. And this is something related with we have 21 degrees of average, and well, this is the more or less temperature related and wind related study. And this image is trying to explain that there are different climates. In the coast, we have a climate is subtropical, very dry. And then they have more humid climates when you go up to the different islands that we have here. And well, there is this research of what are the problems that we will change in the near future for climate. It seems that we are going to have more frequent extreme hot temperature in the near future. And that means that we will have more winds, more sandstorms, and the height of the sea level. And this is some research of the sea level in detail in the climate.org, Central.org, webpage. And these are some research of this section of Gran Canaria. North space is the cloud stays here that creates a very nice temperature in this spot, and the clouds don't go to this space. That means that it's quite exposed to the sun exposition. But here is the arsenal. We have generally a cloud climate. Okay, these are some vegetation, generally located in a very specific location. You remember the axis that I mentioned before. And we have a different vegetation in the coast and in the upper areas in mid and higher peak of the islands. And these are the different types of vegetation in Canary Islands. And these are in relation with what are the landmarks of the landscape. This is first of all the La Isleta mountain, some cranes, and some container spaces, or La Playa de Alcarabaneras Beach. And this is some research in colors. What are the colors in the area? According to some pictures. And well, then the students make some research on population with the numbers that I mentioned before, and how people are getting very old. Like in Japan, we have this problem, and Well, about jobs, we depend too much about tourism and service sector, and this is a very critical for the coronavirus, the problem with Spain. And we have to think what, according to this population and the tourism, what we can do with more than 5 million people coming every year to Las Palmas in order to produce some extra activity in El Arsenal. No, these are potential changes that they are going to maybe increase the number of decrease the number of people in terms of we're getting older, but because the people are little by little getting after Japan, Spain is one of the countries that they are getting much more older nowadays. And well, in terms of population, this is also some study of Las Palmas and several in relation of different areas of the tourism that are coming to Las Palmas. As I mentioned before, around 5 million people, and the number of the evolution of the different tourists coming to Las Palmas. And well, these are some numbers of these tourists, where they come from, and this is, well, just basic diagrams basing what we are expecting of the tourists that are coming to here. More data. And then students make some research of mobility and some problems today with the traffic jams around this area. The students make some sections research on parking problems in the area. Where are nowadays new mobility, new soft mobility with new bicycle lines in this diagram, and the public transportation bus, municipal. And where are the main corridors or pedestrian areas nowadays? And the diagrams of how should be all this connected with the arsenal. These are the research of the structure of the city. Where are the green spaces, and to try to make some research about this, and to make some basic research on the measure of the size of the plots in Santa Catalina, Alcarabaneras, and Guanarteme districts. And also researching in the size of the different buildings inside the arsenal. Okay, the types of the heights of the buildings, and where are located the different important buildings and monuments and referential buildings along the Las Palmas. As you can see here, there is a big concentration of several important elements, and also here. And these are the buildings that they are mentioned before in the previous image. And where and how are these size of these green or open spaces surrounding the arsenal? And well, some image of how this section is nowadays. This is a section, a transversal section with the Mesa y López. And where are the different buildings, libraries, culture centers, museum, theaters, hospitals, public education centers, private education centers, sports, commercial, and the aquarium. And where are the distance, the critical distance of these spots in relation with each other? I mean, if they are covered or they are uncovered. And this is this research. This is a basic study in regulations. This is a urban area, and there are some areas to be developed, but basically everything is already finished, I mean already built. and the only thing that can be rethinked is almost the arsenal and the coast line. And these are some research in this regulation of that the students have made. Also the same thing. And this is the evolution of how has been the study, some research of the evolution of the city of Las Palmas that I mentioned to you before. And what are the different uses of the port spaces nowadays? And some research of what are the different uses inside the port. It's quite a very, very detailed study, very nice. And these are the potential sustainable research that the students want to make and to introduce inside the project. Well, the students at the end, they made the analysis of structure, the study of mobility, of the possible uses, and the green spaces. Also, they made some research in emergency lines and bus line, and some potential system for the sustainable issues, and they made this basic diagram synthesis plan. At the end, also, they made some presentation of their concepts in Spain, and that was all. Hopefully, this will help you to understand the presentation, and you will do a very nice project after this presentation. Thanks to all, and ganbatte kudasai!